happy Mindfulness Monday, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. If you're new here, welcome. And if you're a returning mindfulness member, always so grateful to have you back. Um, if you are new here, just some general announcements. Just know that you will be muted for the duration of our session today. You can use the chat function. As you see, we're all communicating with ourselves, um, to communicate with us, share questions, thoughts, insights, or where you're joining from. It's always cool to see where people are coming from across the United States and even sometimes overseas. So would love to see that representation of community coming together mindfully. We do invite you to join us on camera if you're in a place to join us on camera and if you're comfortable with it. We do love to see each other on this little space that we call the World Wide Web. And our next live English session will be on July 28th, July 28th. So not next week, but the week following. Before we get into it, I want to remind you about our other PD Health at Home virtual programs. Each week, we offer sessions tailored to support people with Parkinson's and their care partners, including Mindfulness Mondays, Wellness Wednesdays, Fitness Fridays, and our expert briefings. We also have our Spanish language series, Ipi Salud en Casa. Be sure to visit our website to see what's coming up and explore archive videos on YouTube. This week's Wellness Wednesday will learn about current studies that aim to improve, slow, or someday stop the progression of Parkinson's disease. Current Parkinson's treatment mainly focuses on maintaining symptoms and managing symptoms because there are no disease-modifying therapies available at this time. And research aimed at exploring therapies that could possibly change the course of Parkinson's is rapidly evolving. So join us for a conversation on potential disease-modifying therapies this Wednesday. And you can register at parkinson.org/pdhealth. PD Health at Home is presented by the Light of Day Foundation. Many thanks to our sponsor, Light of Day, for their generous support in supporting the mission of the Parkinson's Foundation. And today we welcome back Dr. Taylor Rush from the Cleveland Clinic. Taylor, thanks for guiding us into mindfulness today.
Thank you so much, Krista, for the introduction, and it's so good to see everyone today. It's only been a month since I've seen you guys, but it feels like it's been so much longer, and the summer has both gone by very quickly and very slowly. So thank you all for joining us in this pause in your day, and based on where everyone's logging in from, I would say it's possibly morning, noon, or evening, depending on where you are. And so thank you for allowing us to be part of your day. I love these moments with you guys, and I really consider it a chance that we all get to turn inward, reconnect with ourselves and our breath, and be able to just notice what's happening inside with both curiosity as well as care. So today, you guys know I like to jump around a little bit in terms of topics, but this one is an oldie but a goodie. This is one that I've definitely talked about before, but it may have been a little while. But it often comes up so much when I'm working with my folks who have Parkinson's, as well as my care partners who are supporting someone with Parkinson's. But we're going to focus on a type of thinking that many of us do, and sometimes without even realizing it. And that's something called should thinking. And so these are basically thoughts that may begin with phrases like, I should be able to walk farther or faster than this. I should feel more grateful. I have so much support around me. I should be able to do more or stay more active during the day. I shouldn't feel so tired or frustrated all the time. So sometimes the should is paired with a not. Or other people seem to be handling all this stuff so much better than me. I should be able to handle it better too. And so these kinds of should thought patterns can really sneak into our thinking and into how we see the world, into how we sometimes then also see ourselves. And oftentimes, they're coming from a place of wanting to be strong, wanting to be capable, trying to be optimistic. But sometimes these kinds of thoughts might actually do us more harm than good and can undermine our own efforts. And so, a lot of times, what I tell folks is that, when you have a should thought, it's often meaning that there's some sort of expectation up here when reality might be somewhere around here. And so it can make you feel like you're failing, even when you're doing your absolute very best. And as a result, it can create a sort of pressure to prove or perform rather than allowing you to honor your real experience of what's happening, which is often quite challenging. If someone says, gosh, I should be able to walk quicker or more easily, but the reality may be that they aren't walking as quickly or as easily because their Parkinson's is progressing. It is making it more of a challenging situation. And so when we end up trying to live up to these internal standards of should, we can end up missing what is actually going on right here in the moment. And sometimes that ends up meaning that we miss out on things that are happening in our lives that are joyful, that bring us laughter, connection, or peace, or even just being able to kind of lean into the moment without judgment. And so, what I often find when I'm working with folks is that we end up kind of boiling some of the should thoughts down to recognizing that, Parkinson's is not anyone's fault. It's not something that has to be fixed. It's not something that is mind over matter or will go away with positive thinking, right? It's still a set of challenges physically, emotionally, logistically, interpersonally that we have to meet with fresh eyes day after day. And so when we think about how do we loop in mindfulness to this, instead of measuring ourselves against how we think we should be, mindfulness can help to invite us to meet ourselves where we are, and hopefully with a little bit of kindness and compassion. So I thought perhaps today we could do a little bit of a practice to bring awareness to some of those internal should statements, how they may show up both in your mind as well as in your body, because how we think definitely affects how we feel as well as how we function in terms of any set of symptoms that you might have or sensations that you might have within the body. And then maybe we can create a little bit of a gentle space between who we are and what those thoughts say we should be. Okay. And, one thing I also just want to point out real quick is that being able to distance from should thoughts isn't about denying your hopes or your goals or your ambitions. It is important to have drive, it is important to have motivation and to work towards goals. We all need a sense of purpose and a sense of determination in order to navigate really challenging circumstances. But really, what I'm trying to distinguish is how do we loosen the grip of judgment that in a way that we can then try to grow some compassion and can relate to ourselves with a little bit more kindness. And when we let go of that should, sometimes we can find something a little more healing underneath. Sometimes that's acceptance or gratitude or just the peace of being able to be enough right here, right now, just as we are. So go ahead and get in whatever comfy position feels best for you. For some people, they enjoy staying seated. For some people, they may recline. Whatever is most comfortable for you in this moment. And as you get settled into your comfortable position, you can certainly feel free to close your eyes if it helps to lower distractions. Or you can always find a soft fixed point a few feet in front of you where you can gaze. I just want you to give yourself a moment to arrive right here, right now. Maybe feeling the support of whatever furniture is beneath you, and maybe noticing your breath as it moves through you. Just observing it as it is without having to change it in any way. Noticing the sensation of the breath as it comes in through your nose or mouth, how it may hit your throat, expand your lungs, and then noticing as it gently exits in the opposite pattern. Just feeling the cycle of your breath as an anchor for the present moment. And noticing if any other intrusive thoughts start to enter your mind, that's perfectly normal. It just means that your brain is alive. You can gently acknowledge those thoughts and redirect back to the breath. And throughout this exercise, you can always feel free to come back to the breath. Now, I would encourage you to consider bringing into your mind a recent moment where you may have noticed a should thought. Maybe it was a thought about your body, your energy level, your mood, possibly a relationship. So whatever comes to mind, just let it gently surface. For some of you, you may know your should statements well, and maybe there's one that particularly sticks with you that you can bring into your mind's eye. And as you find this should thought and hold it in your awareness, I want you to see if you can possibly notice how it feels in your body. You might notice a tightening in your chest. You may notice that the jaw starts to set a bit. Sometimes people notice a feeling of, a stone in the bottom of their stomach. The shoulders might start to be worn as earrings. You might feel achy or heavy. Sometimes it might feel sharp. Again, this is about awareness of how that should thought can ripple through your body so that we can then cultivate an awareness to then bring attention and compassion to it. So now I want you to silently repeat to yourself, this is how it is right now. And I can meet this moment with kindness. Can let go of trying to fix or argue with it. Allowing your breath to create space. May be able to shift to saying, I'm doing the best I can. There's no one right way to go through this. I can rest in what is true right now. And as you say some of these things to yourself, I'm doing the best I can. There's no one right way to go through this. I can rest in what is true right now. I want to see if you can then shift slightly and maybe name one thing that you are grateful for in this moment. Doesn't have to be anything profound. Maybe being grateful for the steadiness of your breath. Maybe gentle warmth in your hands. Perhaps even the comfort of knowing that you are here practicing this with others. And allow your body a moment to feel that. Breathe in the gratitude. Allow it to spread and fill you. And just take a little bit of time here together in this space to breathe into that gratitude. Now, as we prepare to return to our active space here, let's take a moment to notice how you may feel without judgment. You might feel more grounded. You might even feel more antsy. And so, whatever it is, let it be welcomed. Let it belong here right now. As you start to gain a little bit more of that active awareness, you can start to stir your body with some intention. You might wiggle your fingers or toes, shift in your seat, or flex some muscles, something to get yourself a little bit more into your body. And you can bring your eyes back to focus when you're ready, or perhaps open them if they've been closed. And as we finish this practice for today, giving yourself a moment of grace and recognizing that regardless of the journey of today, you showed up for yourself, which is an incredible thing. So at least give yourself some space for that. Okay. Starting to see some eyes at attention here. So, as usual, would love to hear feedback from folks on how this particular practice went today. Every practice is a new one, every day is a new day, and the journey is always slightly different. So, if there are any shoulds you were able to recognize, or how you were perhaps able to meet it more gently. So, I think I know I'm as guilty of this as anyone, and I am more than willing to admit I'm a recovering should'er. Okay, so this is not easy for me when I try to delve into this practice, and so I fully understand how uncomfortable this can be. To try to change some of these things. And you never really recognize how much we sneak shoulds into our language until you start paying attention to it. So if you start noticing your shoulds after today, I will consider my job done. So I think that sometimes there is discomfort that comes with that, which I think is important to feel because that's the first step towards being able to change that dialogue and that internal dialogue. And obviously with my profession, I might be a little biased, but I do believe it's one of the most important things that we can cultivate. And so I see some things coming in here. Let's see. So several people saying that they feel more relaxed. And ooh, I like Helen said, I'm grateful just to be an average human being. And I think there's a lot of power in that statement because we are human, which means that we are inherently flawed. And so I think that we have to embrace the fact that we are never perfect, and there are many things that we are going to mess up at, and just we can be average and perfectly acceptable. There's nothing wrong with that. And some folks had said that shoulds are very familiar, and Krista had shared so many shoulds about doing more. And yeah, I should be able to take it to this next step. I should have gotten more done, or I should get more done tomorrow. I understand those thoughts well. And so several folks felt like they really were able to lean into it and feel more relaxed by the end. Yep. And so someone had shared, someone once told me, don't should on yourself. And that's a phrase we use in my line of work often, that you should and you end up shoulding all over yourself. So the more we should, the worse we feel. And let's see. And yep, so someone else had shared the same thing. Don't should on yourself. And if nothing else, it at least brings a smile to your face, obviously. And so you can at least say it and then be able to maybe find some humor in the situation, which I think also helps to loosen some of that judgment a bit. And let's see. So some people saying that they really appreciated this topic and being able to recognize the ups and downs. And a lot of people, I think, being very grateful that they're not alone in experiencing these should statements. And Krista, thank you for the colorful emojis there. And let's see, important to remind myself I'm doing the best I can periodically helps to counteract the shoulds. Exactly. And there's, I'm doing the best I can with a tough situation because so often we see what it is that we're not doing. We look at everything from a deficit model, what I'm not doing enough of, what I should be doing more of, and that's where those shoulds come in. And so how can we recognize, yeah, but I'm also working against, some pretty strong headwinds with various things that are going on in my life. So yeah, it makes sense why things are a little bit harder. So accounting for the fact that, there are challenges that sometimes mean that we don't meet those expectations that we associate with shoulds. So, we have to look at both sides of the coin in order to see the situation for what it is. And that's where I think mindfulness can be such a gift because that is exactly what we teach, right? Is how do I look at the present moment for exactly what it is without judgment? And so it's not just little pieces and parts here and there. It's how can I look at the entirety of the situation, the good, bad, the indifferent, and the ugly, so that I can make sure that I'm seeing everything, with a full scope. So this really helps us to kind of, clean off of our lenses a little bit so that we can see clearly for these situations. Thank you guys so very much for being here today. And again, you are a living being who is just responding to life as best as you can, and that's enough. So let's see, how in the next week or two you're able to challenge and curtail your shoulds, okay? And please, for goodness sakes, don't say I shouldn't be shoulding myself, okay? That just sends us down a whole should cycle. So let's avoid that one too, okay? And so, Chris, I'll take it back to you.
Thank you, Taylor. I was just having some conversations with care partners of people with Parkinson's, and they're like, "Can we just like have more fun? Can we laugh a little bit more?" And this concept of should, I had to throw in the colorful emoji, because as you said, Taylor, let's just bring a little lightheartedness, like, oh, I shouldn't be shooting on myself. So thank you for offering this like sense of humor to something that can be really deeply ingrained in our intrinsic values, right? Thinking that we should be doing more, doing something else in a different way. And you said we're humans navigating a life, and we're doing enough. We're doing enough. So thank you for that reminder today, Taylor. I really appreciate you. And thank you all for continuing to show up in this curious way of mindfulness and how that relates to Parkinson's disease. There's so many subjects that we can explore in Parkinson's and mindfulness and beyond. So please continue to show up in community for each other, for me, for Taylor, for the global Parkinson's community, as individuals and as a community. So thank you for being here. If you have questions in the season of your Parkinson's journey, please don't hesitate to reach out to us in between sessions. We have a comprehensive website and many more resources that address everything related to Parkinson's, and that information is here on the slide. Until our next session, may you find those precious moments of shooting on yourself and redirecting the thoughts into something with more kindness. Until soon, my friends, have a good one.